So a couple of days ago, I got a text message from a buddy of mine said, "How the F did he lay that down?" Which is a line from best poker movie of all time, Rounders. If you haven't seen Rounders, stop this right now and watch that movie immediately. If you have, continue, because this is a pretty interesting hand between two players of the World Series of Poker this year, where a player lays down a full house. So the conversation with my friend, because I didn't see the clip, he just texted me this, and said there was this amazing hand in the World Series of Poker where someone laid down a full house correctly to a straight flush. How could he possibly do it? And I guess some conversation with the people he was with broke down, like, how could he ever lay down this hand in this situation? So I want to play this hand for you right now and walk you through, talk through the hand, and not to take anything away. It's a great lay down, but explain sort of the thought process throughout the hand and in that critical moment also. So here we go.
Easy to make jump shots if no one's covering you. It's like it's easy for me to make 3 bets when I'm playing video poker.
Ruane on a button with 9-8 of clubs after Spaniard Fernando Pons opened under the gun with king-queen of diamonds. Ruane calls for $450,000. James Obst in a small blind with 7s just calls. And now Qui Win, the local, with a taste for baccarat with 9-6.
Qui Win still wearing that hat. A friend needs to set up an intervention.
So just to explain what happened here. So the Pons with the King, Queen of Diamonds opened from early position with King, Queen suited, which is pretty standard. Ruane called with the suited connector. I'm going to go with Obst with 7s calls behind, which I think is fine. I think pocket pairs. He's obviously looking to flop a set. If he misses, he can easily fold and get away, but for the odds, it's great. And then Win with 9-6 offsuit. Obviously, it's not a very good hand, but given how much you hear a comment about the pot odds, there's so much already in the pot that it's very little more for him to continue. And so when I write this up a little bit later, I'll go into the exact math, but it's fine to call here. And if you flop big, great, it pays off. And if you miss, you can just fold and get away. So let's continue.
All right, Win with great pot odds for him. Does call for white flop now. And the flop is Queen 7. Jack Obst comes up big with a set of 7s. Ruane picks up a straight flush draw. The table chip leader Obst checks and Win checks.
Pons flops top pair, big kicker. He's going to bet, and he's 4%.
With the pair of queens, does bet 625. Ruane now with that straight flush draw.
I'd like to immediately apologize to Michael. That was a pretty good-looking jump shot.
Norman, at what point do you fold a straight flush draw?
I do not. Not in this or any subsequent lifetime.
Ruane putting some big chips together. And that is a raise to $2,025,000.
Well, I think Obst has exactly what he wants. But remember, Pons raised under the gun pre-flop, so it's...
So Obst checked with clearly the best hand here. You can see he's 61% to win. This is his equity. This is basically his likelihood chance of having the best hand on the river based on the cards. As you can see, Win has nothing here. So he checked trying to induce action. He wants there was an initial raiser, so it's likely they'll bet again, which he did. It's called a continuation bet. Ruane raised with a draw here. It's a really big draw. Obviously, he's drawing to the straight flush. 10 of clubs would give him the straight flush. Other clubs would likely give him the best hand too, even though it's not the ace high flush. Still, a flush is generally going to be good when you hit. Especially if the board doesn't pair. Loves this spot right here because there's a bet and a raise in front where he likely has the best hand. There's only 2 hands right now that beat him, which is pocket jacks and pocket queens. So he could lose to a bigger 3 of a kind. Kind of unlikely given the way this went. If Ruane had jacks or queens, that was likely getting raised pre-flop. If Win had jacks or queens, that's getting raised pre-flop from his position, and Pons could have queens and jacks, but he open raised, so his range includes those hands, but there's a lot of other hands he can have, so sets up really nicely for what Obst is about to do right now.
Possible he could have pocket queens or jacks, and then this would be a set over set situation.
Obst with the set of 7.
5.3.
Wants to re-raise to 5.3 million. Get out of my pot. Win folds. Pons does get out of the way. Back to Ruane now.
Who's thinking, oops, I might be in big trouble. And
So I think you hear Lon McCarron say, get out of my pot. I don't know if Obst really is that raise was intended to get everybody out. I think you have the best hand right now. He's a 65% chance to win. He wants to get called. So, yeah, he made it – excuse me. Yeah, he made it 5.3 million, which is a 3 million chip raise. But if you look relative to the size of the pot, there's now 9 million in. So he's getting 3-1 on his money right now, which is a lot of chips, but relative to the size of the pot and odds and the number of cards to come, because I think this is not a raise. The point I'm trying to make here is this is just not a raise to, I think, get everyone to fold. I think somebody with a draw, any club draw, will definitely call. 2 pairs may call. Maybe queen. East Queen may call big top pairs possibly. I think if there wasn't a raise or a bet, a raise and a re-raise, the original top pair still may be in his hand, but that's just too many bets and not strong enough of a hand to continue. So here we go.
could be facing a set or even an ace-high flush draw here.
Pots already almost 10 million. Both of these gentlemen started the hand with more than 22 million in front of them, and there's a call from Ruane.
No give up in Michael Ruane right now.
My goodness. Turn card now. What a pot we've got going. Is the 10 of clubs, Ruane with the straight flush. I don't remember the last time we saw a straight flush, Norman.
I'm sorry, Lon. That card seems beyond the realm of realistic human possibility.
It's so exciting. Obst checked it.
Obst does know it was very possible Ruane was on a flush draw.
And now Michael Ruane with the nuts of the nuts. Doesn't slow play at a bet of 3.75 million.
The pot is swelling.
Oh, so that's so you see 3.75 in this pot. The pot is now 17. So he bet 3 million into a $14 million pot, which is a pretty small bet. That's a fifth pot. So a little more than the fifth pot. So that's a value bet. You can obviously he's not bluffing here. He's trying to get called. He knows he can't be beaten. Obst knows he is probably beat, but as long as he made his flush draw and if he knows if he pairs the board, he can win. He doesn't know he's up against the exact one hand yet that can beat him, but he doesn't go crazy here. Obviously, you'll see how he responds and makes just the call. But let's continue watching and see what develops to the river.
He's got to call and hope the board pairs.
Well, he still loses if the board pairs.
He doesn't know that. We can see all the hole cards. They can't.
Oh, okay. Obst has to have concerns about that board, but the bet was so small from Ruane, and he still has possibilities in his mind. He makes the call.
We don't see that many straight flushes. What a time for Michael Ruane to turn one.
And the river card, another 10. Obst improves to that full house, but it's useless.
And that is cruel and unusual punishment for James Obst. I don't know if he can take any legal action here, but I would defend him.
4.7.
Obst is going to try to get value for what he thinks is the best hand, 4.7 million.
Yeah, he bets just less than a quarter of the pot. And if Obst somehow can get away from this hand after Ruane raises, he just saved himself some chips.
To Michael Ruane. He raises all in.
Look at the size of this pot. If Obst calls here, he'll be left with less than 20 big blinds. This is a life-changing cooler in progress. Considering the stage of the main event we're at, this reminds me of the Jonathan Duhamel Matt Affleck pot in 2010 that propelled Duhamel to the title and sent Matt home. I will say this, if you're Obst with 7s full and Ruane has shoved all in, what can he have? He might have you beat.
It looks like he has a straight flush. Could be the best actor of all time.
Wow, what a laydown. Ruane will collect that mountain of chips.
A big laydown. And now we have a new big stack.
A massive hit to the stack of James Obst, but the story is the new chip leader, Michael Ruane, making Maywood, New Jersey proud.
So let's recap what happened here. So when the 10 came out on the river, it paired the board. So Obst makes his full house, which is good against any other flush other than the straight flush, which obviously, again, he doesn't at this point know. So there's about $21 million in the pot. He bets about 5, so he bets quarter pot, which is I think it's a good bet, and I'll tell you why. Because if it's enough that if Ruane has a flush, he may call in the end, even though the board pairs. That said, when he bets and he gets raised, now he has to really think here, because it's 12 more million for him to call. But 12, 13 million. It would cripple him if he's wrong. In other words, if he loses. You also have to keep in mind that, and I'm not sure if you can see this here, but this is day 7 of the World Series of Poker. So you are at a stage where you've been playing for a week. Got to keep that in mind in terms of the moment and the bigness of the situation. And if he calls and it loses, he absolutely is crippled. So Obst knows that, because once the board pairs with a flush raising into a full house or board or a paired board, that's crazy. And he knows that's crazy. The way the hand played, called the big raise, like 8-9 of clubs definitely makes a lot of sense. And like he even says, certainly look like you have a straight flush. Like it's a huge pot, the biggest pot played, up until this point. I don't know if that's really true, but a large pot that has a lot at stake, that it's going to make one of them the chip leader. So a huge pot. And he's as calm, as cool as the other side of the pillow. Doesn't look like he's nervous. This reason, because he has the unbeatable hands. Literally, he has the absolute nuts. There's no hand that can beat Ruane. So Obst has to think, okay, well, what hands can he beat? That raise by Ruane is not a bluff, right? There's so much in the pot. Like he's going to call more than likely if he had any better hand had he not had a straight flush. So if Ruane has just an ace high flush even, then there's no way he raises. Ruane doesn't raise with any flush. So Obst knows the only hands that are raising him are hands that he can't beat. So he takes all these other hands off the table. 8-9 of clubs makes a ton of sense. There's no bluff that really makes sense here. So it has to be a value bet. So there's no real hand that he can have that can be betting for value other than the straight flush here. Just based on how everything played out, what's likely in his range. He narrowed it completely, and you throw in the physical context, it's a fold. So Obst lost half of his stack on that hand, but had he called, he would have been down to less than 20 big blinds. So by folding and using all the context, he was able to make a really strong laydown. You got to think about it. Is my opponent betting for value, or is he trying to bluff? And if you take bluff off the table and you ask yourself, okay, well, what hands is he betting for value? You'll see that there's no hand that he can be betting for value that you beat. Because every other hand, even his strong hands, as we mentioned, a flush, he's just going to call and win at showdown if he beats you. If you're betting with a worse hand and taking out the risk of the fact that you may have a straight flush or a full house, because it looks like we have a full house with 7s full. We check raised after a bet and a raise on the flop. We called when the board hit the flush on the turn, and then we lead out when the board pairs on the river. That looks like a full house, and if Ruane doesn't have a straight flush, probably even can fold a regular flush, an ace high flush in this spot. He's definitely not going to raise. Maybe he makes the call because a $5 million bet relative to the size of the pot is a pretty good price. But as it played, Obst made a great laydown a full house. But it's still that logic process that you go through there. That's what you have to do in evaluating every hand. So if you think about it, what does my range look like? What does my opponent's range look like? It's crazy enough, a logical fold in this situation. So there you go.